America is back. President Obama again echoing Ronald Reagan tonight. Let's turn now to Congressman Ribble of Wisconsin. He is a Republican in his first term. Congressman, we feel lucky to have you tonight. Thank you for being with us.
Hey, Rachel, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Ezra Klein is our resident wonk, and he has a wonk question for you. So I'm going to hand things over to Ezra for the Washington
Good evening,
Post.
Congressman.
Good evening.
Governor Daniels' speech was mostly about debt, and one of the points he made was that the debt has run up quite a bit under President Obama. The New York Times recently did an analysis, an apples to apples of debt under the two presidents from their policies, not from the economic crisis around them. So the Bush tax cuts versus the stimulus, the health care bill versus Medicare Part D. They found that under Bush, the policies themselves led to $5 trillion in debt, and under Obama, it was $1.5 trillion. So it seemed that Daniels, who is Bush's budget director, has somewhat of a worse record than Obama. Doesn't that undermine the credibility of those comments a bit?
Well, I haven't seen the analysis, so it's difficult for me to speak to it. I think you can fudge numbers quite a lot if you are debating what the recession actually did. Listen, I was no big defender of the Bush policies as far as deficit and debt spending. I think we have to be serious about how we're managing this country's finances, whether Republicans in the White House or whether Democrats in the White House.
Congressman Al Sharpton, the president laid out some challenges to the Congress in terms of tax reform, in terms of energy, in terms of education. What are you prepared and your colleagues prepared to do to work with the president on the things he outlined? Is there anything that you heard tonight that you're prepared to commit right now to say, I'm willing to work with the president on that?
Oh, you bet. If he's willing to actually do real tax reform, and I'm not talking about just nibbling around the edges. Listen, our tax code is over 10,000 pages long. It's overly complex. There's a tax on a tax what Americans have to pay to have their tax returns done. I'm an advocate of throwing that tax code out and starting over. That would give us the opportunity to eliminate some of the subsidies and tax expenditures that the president spoke of. I think that's a step in the right direction. I was encouraged by his all-in type of energy policy. I would agree with that. So, yeah, I think there are some things that we certainly could reach for and work together with the president.
Congressman Ribble, one of the sort of intangibles that the president talked about tonight was the temperature in Washington, this idea that the parties have to be locked in mortal combat all the time. Does that, as a first-term congressman, as somebody who was elected in the red-hot partisan election of 2010 when Republicans did so well, does that call resonate with you at all? Do you think that's at all possible?
Well, I think it's possible. Rachel, some of the bickering happens a little bit above my pay grade. I sat tonight with a good friend of mine by the name of Kurt Schrader, a Democrat representative from Oregon, a very good friend of mine. We have a tendency to be able to work together. I think in the halls of Congress, the men and women are able to talk across the aisle and get some things done. The real test of what the president said tonight is not what he actually communicated tonight, but what he communicates on his own campaign tomorrow. If he's willing to control his own rhetoric on the campaign trail, and he's willing to soften that a little bit, he might find a more cooperative Congress.
Congressman Ribble, Republican of Wisconsin, it's nice to have you here with us tonight. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you, Rachel.
I appreciate it. Karen, in terms of what Congressman Ribble was just talking about there, when you were in the Clinton White House, of course, one of the things you were talking about earlier was how important the next thing is that the president does after the State of the Union in terms of making the message sink in. Congressman Ribble there saying he would like a softer tone from the president toward Republicans. Do you expect that?
I don't think the president has had a harsh tone towards Republicans.
It's been more combative, though.
It's been
in
more
the last 6 months.
You say combative, I say firm.
Okay.
So we'll just have to agree to disagree.
Fair enough. I like both. So.
But absolutely, I mean, this practice of the president on the days after the State of the Union, then sort of traveling around the country to different parts of the country, maybe states that happen to be, important in the election, but talking more about the idea. So he's going to be in Las Vegas. He's going to be in Detroit. He's going to be in Michigan. He's going to be talking about some of the, the pillars that we heard him speak to tonight. Just one thing I want to mention before we go. One of the things that I really liked in terms of the way he talked to corporations and was not combative, because he said, ask yourself what you can do for your country. What can you do? A very Kennedy-esque moment there.
Lawrence, your last thoughts?
I think the speechwriters have to be very careful, because the ending was so strong. That story about the Navy SEAL flag, I wouldn't have let him use that unless the speechwriters can tell me they've got something better for the convention speech. That is as strong a finish as the speech could possibly have, and they better have something as strong for the convention.
I thought it was striking that they chose to begin. I was shocked at the very beginning of the speech when I saw him beginning with "There is no more war in Iraq and Osama bin Laden is dead." I thought, you're going to use Osama bin Laden is dead in the first 3 seconds before anybody's even started really to pay attention? Are you kidding? You've got to use that for the great climax of the speech. But then to come back to it, I guess was unavoidable, and I was short-sighted. All right, this is what's going to happen tonight on the rest of MSNBC. From 11 p.m. until midnight Eastern, we're going to have a live edition of The Ed Show. And so Ed Schultz is standing by, which is wonderful. I'll also be sticking around with Ed for his A Block. Chris Matthews, Lawrence O'Donnell, Reverend Al Sharpton, Ezra Klein, and Karen Finney. It has been a lot of fun, actually, to cover this with you guys. These nights we sort of know what's going to happen, but they're different every year, and it was great to do this with you guys. Thank you for being here, all of you.
Yep.
Thank you.